Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video tutorial we are going to learn about buttons. Okay, buttons in Materialize CSS. Okay, so let's just get started. We can have buttons with without icon. We can have buttons with icon at the left, icon at the right, a floating button. Okay, something that you know that we normally have here and say scroll to up and all that. Or you can just use it anywhere. We can have a flat button whereby there is no background, but this is a button. Submit button using this icon, submit or send. Large button or big buttons. Okay. Disabled button, we are going to learn how to disable the button and how to color our button and a whole lot of other things. Okay, it's just pretty simple to use button in Materialize. If I write something like this div for instance, but normally we don't use div as a button. Okay, so let me use this anchor or a button tag. Okay, let me say this does not link to any place. Okay, let me call it button. Okay, let us test this code first before we start. Okay, I right click, reveal in the file explorer, I open this. Okay, you see what we have? Button. Okay, let me just explain this. As usual, we have already configured our Materialize. Okay, in the body tag we have already put in our container class in div. As you can see here, we already have the Javascript of our Materialize being configured. If you don't really understand this, please check our introduction video where we explain this. I'm going to put the link on the description below, guys. Okay, back to what we are doing. I just put this. Okay, to turn this to a button, I have to write a class and say btn. Okay, automatically this is a button, and Materialize will use the default button background color for this button. Okay, so back to our code. If I refresh, you see that this has automatically turned to a button. Okay, let me just break down. Okay, so that this will come down a bit. Okay, you see it now. It's a button, and by default Materialize have this hoverable effect. Over it, you see that automatically it changes color and give you a small shadow under. Okay, so this is for the button. Anytime I want to color this button, I just write the button, the color beside it. If I say red like this, okay, the button becomes red. If I say blue, this is now a blue button. Okay, so that is this. You can add waves effects on it. Look at the function of wave effect. When you click on it, you see what really happened in this button. There's a kind of wave here. Let me click on it again. You see this wave. Okay, if you need something like that, you just need to have this waves minus effect, waves light. Okay, first of all, write that you want it to have waves effect and then put the kind of wave we have. And Materialize only have, I think, this wave light. Okay, so let me copy this, put it in my code in the class here. Okay, you have waves effect, waves light. So back to my code. If I click, you see I now have that wave effect on it. Okay, so let me remove it. So back to our class here. What about if I want to generate this kind of button? Okay, I'll first of all write btn, and I will now write btn floating, the button will automatically turn to this. But you know that this is a cycle button, so it is normally good to use icon instead of text. Even if you want to use text, you have to know that you have to use a small text that will contain or that will be covered in this cycle. Okay, when you want to use a floating button, it's not advisable for you to start writing a whole long stuff here as a text. Okay, it's not good. So let me just add a simple stuff and says add. Okay, I can now write here btn floating. Okay, back to our code now. I refresh. You see I have a floating button and I have a very simple text inside it. Okay, what about if I want to add an icon? Okay, just put it here. You can use either you use this. If you use this I tag, okay, it's still okay. If you like, you use span, whatever tag, either you use I tag or use a span tag. Okay, so to add icon is pretty very simple. Whether you want to add icon in this normal button or this one, just add this class material icons. Now write the name of this icon inside. Okay, Materialize has a whole lot of icons which you can find here. Let me open it in a new tab. Okay, this is the icon names. Okay, these are the icon names. Sorry, 3D rotate shows this, ES unity show this, access alarm show this. Okay, so I'm going to use 3D rotate. Okay, I copied it. So back here, for me to use icon, I have to write material icon. Okay, material icon, and the icon will show. If I want the icon to be at the left, I put left. If I want it to be at the right, I put right. But here already I only want this icon without any text, so I can come here and write my class. Okay, material icon. Let me check whether I'm not making mistake. Okay, icons, material icons. Then in between this tag, now this is where I'll paste the tag name 3D rotate. Okay, coming back to my code, if I refresh, you see I have that icon 3D rotate. I know about this icon name known as person. Okay, person. You see what we have, person. Okay, so coming back to this, you will see a whole lot of icon names. Okay, so that you can know which one to use or which one not to use. Now I can write something here. Let me say add. Okay, this is a floating button. I don't think it's good to write too much text. You see it has replaced the one of that icon. But if I'm using a normal button which is not a floating button, okay, something like this, I can write add. I can write this, and I can equally pull this icon. Let me see what we have. You see the icon is showing. Okay, the icon is showing at the right because the icon is after the add. If I put this icon before the add text, it will show at the left. But what about I want this thing to be at the left? Even without putting it at the left, I can just come here and specify the area where I want this icon to be by writing left. Okay, if I write left, this icon will be at the left. Okay, let me refresh. See that the icon is now at the left. Okay, let me remove this. Okay, let me refresh. You notice that this icon is not in the same line with this text. The icon is showing though at the right, because by default the icon is at the right, but it's not in the same line with this text. So whenever you want to make it to look more nice and be in the same line, it's always good that you specify the area where you want the icon to be. Here you can see that the icon is already at the right, but you need to tell your browser, look at exactly what I want, so that your browser will do the job for you and make this thing to look more nice and be in the same line. So just write right here, okay, so that it will now normalize everything here. I refresh, you see what we have, right, okay. I can equally put left. So in Materialize, as far as button is concerned, it does not really matter where you place your icon, okay. What really matters is where you specify it, whether you write right or left. Okay guys, that is it for the button with icon. Since we are not using any text here, I want to remove this add and use only icon here. Okay, I can now do my btn floating. Okay, btn floating. Since there is no text in this icon, beside this icon, no need to write this left or right. Okay, just write the normal icon and leave it like that. But if you are writing a text beside it, that's the time you will now put left or right. Okay, this is for the floating button and the one of button with icon. Okay, the next thing we want to do now is to talk about the flat button and also talk about the sizes of our button. Okay, now what about flat button? Flat button are those buttons that doesn't have a background color. Okay, if I write flat here and come back to my code and test, you see what I'll have. Okay, sorry guys, you have to write btn flat. Okay, because if you write only flat here, it will talk that you want to change the background color. Okay, but writing btn flat like this, you see we now have a flat button. Do you notice the highlightation? See, we have a flat button. You can only know that this is button when you hover over it. Okay, this is for the flat button. So anytime you need something like this, a button with no background, just use flat. Okay, flat button, it's not mandatory that you use an icon. I can just do something like this. Go. Okay, a text. See what we have. This is also a button. Okay, so back to our code. Let me still have the icon I have before. Okay, now I want to talk about the size. The size of this button. By default, when you write this button like this and write maybe, let me say green. We already have green. Okay, let me just say green like this. Okay, this button now is in its normal size. This is what we call the normal size or the medium size of this button. If I want to change the size of this button, I have to come here and specify it. Okay, I have to write something like this, btn. If I write large, I am trying to use a bigger button, btn large. Okay, you see that this button is now bigger. Okay, this is the large button so far. I can write btn small. I don't know whether it's small sm, but let me try small. Okay, I think for the small button, yes, I think that is btn small. Okay, you see the size of button now. Sorry guys, let me close this. Okay, this is the btn small, the small button. What about if I remove this? We don't have the medium. The medium, you just leave it like this. Okay, you see we have the medium now. Then if I put something like this, which is for the large, you see we now have the large button. Okay, these are the 3 sizes of buttons we have in Materialize. Thank you guys so much for your time. See you in the next video. Bye bye.